There's a moment most people recognize. The words are right, the preparation is there, and something still isn't landing. If you're a voice actor, you, or casting, hears it in playback. If you're a professional communicating in high-stakes situations, well, you might hear it in a boardroom, a classroom, a jury, or a job interview. You feel it in the room. That's the problem we work to solve. And if you felt it, this video is for you. I primarily work with two kinds of people: voice actors, professionals who book work, already have a home studio, and know their craft, but who are experiencing the frustration of providing technically fine or nice takes, but still sound careful instead of connected. They provide multiple takes that sound the same. They even move on to a different script and deliver the same type of read. And no amount of tricks or technique has broken this pattern for them. I also work with professionals in high-stakes communication situations, attorneys preparing to face a jury, executives who know their content but can't get their authority to land with their employees or potential clients, people preparing for the kind of job interview that can be life-changing, non-native English speakers navigating American business culture where the words are right, but something in their speech or their articulation is a little off. These are different situations, but the same underlying problem. The voice diagnostic is not for beginners. It's not for people looking for general communication tips. This is for people who are already capable and experienced, but still frustrated because they feel like they're getting stuck hitting that same wall. Here's what the pattern feels like from the inside. You prepare. You do the work. You go into the audition, your booth, or the room, and you do your best. But somewhere in the delivery, something falls flat. The audience hears your effort instead of your message. Casting feels your preparation instead of your presence. For voice actors, it goes something like this. You record a take, you listen back, you record another take, and you listen back. You make mental notes between each one, you change some emphasis here and there until it sounds good. You send in the audition. But the next day, when you listen back, all the reads are sitting in the same emotional space. You listen to your other auditions, different scripts, and it's still the same read. For professionals, it feels something like this. You walk out of the room knowing your content was right, the preparation was thorough, and something still didn't land the way you needed it to. Here's what I've learned after 25 years on both sides of the glass. Patterns don't care how hard you try. They repeat until you change them. And the harder part, the part nobody talks about, is that the pattern isn't recognizable to you in real time. If you could hear it, you'd already be breaking it. That's not a failure of ability or effort. That's just how patterns work. Most coaching addresses the wrong issues. Technique coaching often focuses on how the read sounds, the mechanics of it, and it's useful for beginners, but if you've been working for years and the patterns are holding you back, the mechanics aren't the problem. Acting coaching builds emotional access in scene work, and it's certainly valuable work, but the context doesn't always transfer to the specific real-time experience of being alone in the booth when the recording light comes on, or the real-world experience of standing in front of a jury when the case depends on how your emotions affect that jury. Self-study and more practice can reinforce those patterns just as easily as break them. So the question becomes whether or not you can hear what you're reinforcing. And group coaching may give you a general note, but it's usually too careful to avoid embarrassing you in front of others, when what you really need is an honest and specific diagnosis of the patterns you're using. The reason these haven't fixed the problem isn't that they're bad, it's just that they're aimed at the wrong target. The pattern lives underneath the sound, and that's where the work has to go. The approach I've spent 25 years developing is intention-based coaching. The premise is this. When a read, a presentation, or high-stakes communication isn't working, the problem almost never lies in the sound of your voice or the script, the product, the service, or information. It lives in the patterns you use when communicating them. Behavioral, unconscious, and unrecognizable until someone trained to hear it names it for you. Engineers hear it, casting hears it, juries feel it, your audience feels it, But you, the person doing the communicating, usually doesn't because the pattern is your own, developed over years and operating out of habit rather than connection to the message or the audience. My intention-based method is a framework for identifying the pattern, naming it precisely, understanding where it's coming from, and giving you specific ways to interrupt it. Once you know what it feels like when it's running and what it feels like when it's not, you have a skill that no amount of technique work produces, and that's the shift our work together is built to create. Whether you're a voice actor wanting to sound more conversational like a real person, or a real person wanting to sound more like a professional voice, the method works the same way. Look, I've been on all sides of this for over 25 years, a working voice actor with national credits, Heinz, Moe's Southwest Grill, Crown Plaza Hotels, PGA, just to name a few. I'm an audio engineer who began in live sound, which taught me to solve problems in real time under real pressure. A studio engineer directing voice actors in recording, editing, mixing, and mastering productions of all kinds in nearly all genres. A VQ, Vocal Intelligence Master Coach, a voice method developed by Roger Love for professional speakers. I'm the author of 2 books on voiceover. Sound Advice, Voiceover from an Audio Engineer's Perspective, which covers the audio engineering and technical aspects of recording your voice. And Zen in the Art of Voiceover. It's a handbook to my method about the performance side of voiceover. I'm a frequent conference and podcast guest and speaker, and creator of the Zen and the Art of Voiceover card deck, which is the only script analysis tool created for actors to help them develop stronger connection by making more specific choices. And right now, I'm also an intermediate guitar student, which means I'm simultaneously a 25-year expert and also someone who is experiencing exactly the frustration that my clients bring to me. I know what it feels like to try and learn a new instrument for the first time. And I know what it feels like to hear the gap between what you intend and what actually comes out. I also know what it feels like when that frustration finally ends and those transformations happen. The people who hire me do so because they've had a sense of being stuck in a pattern and couldn't find anyone who could identify it and help them change it. A working voice actor recently came to me. They've been in the business for 15 years, successful in commercial and narration. They have a solid resume. They book regularly. They came to me because their number of bookings had fallen dramatically this year. They'd worked with prior coaches. They're taking an improv class. At their first performance diagnostic session, we listened to several of their reads. We named the pattern within the first few minutes of our session. He applied the tools we talked about on an audition that night and texted me the next morning, "That's the read I've been trying to give for 2 years." He didn't need a new technique. He needed to hear what he was actually doing and name it. That's the first step in how we change it. And it's not unusual because that's what happens when the pattern gets named instead of worked around. If any of this sounds like what you've been feeling, the next step is the Voice Performance Diagnostic. It's 30 minutes and we listen to what's actually happening in your delivery. I tell you the pattern I hear, why it's costing you, and offer targeted advice you can apply immediately. You leave with a specific next step and not just generic notes. It's $97 and you can book it directly below this video. And if the timing isn't right for you right now, I've also created a free guide, the Voice Silencers Guide, and that's linked below as well. Either way, thanks for watching. I hope the next time you're in the booth or in any important room or situation, it goes exactly the way you intend.